Hi everyone, today we're going to be using properties of exponents. So in our last video, we talked about what each of the rules were for exponents. But knowing the rules is only the first step. It is a very important step. But now we're going to apply these rules into equations. So let's take a look. So before we move on to that though, the properties of exponents only apply to the base and power only. Numbers in front continue using the operation that's provided. That is super, super important to remember. If you are thinking of a number as a base, know that there is a power that goes along with it, but if you don't see a power, that power is 1. So 1 would be the number that you would have to use. Well, let's just take a look and see if we can answer some of the questions you have. Okay, here we go. So here's an example of a problem that you might see. It involves not only just one step, but in this particular problem, it actually uses 3 steps. So I have 3/5 or 3x y to the second over 5x to the second times y, and that's all the second power. And your step 1 is to identify the rules that will be used in the problem. That is super important because if you don't know what you all need to do, then you're not going to be able to do everything. So taking a look at my problem here, I see a set of parentheses with a number on the uppermost part, and I know that's an exponent. Since I have those parentheses with an exponent out here, I know that I'm going to need to use power of power. If you don't have these rules memorized, you need to start memorizing them or make sure that your notes are available right in front of you. I also see this division line. This division line tells me that I'm going to be using power of quotient. And then the last one to kind of look out for, which you might not know offhand if you're going to use it, is going to be negative power. I can see offhand that I'm going to use negative power because I have a 1 up here and then a 2 down here. If I subtract those, it's going to be negative. So I'm going to write in negative power. If you discover during your process of solving these that you have a negative power, just go back and add that in. You don't even have to write all these down, though I do suggest it just so you know what you need to get done. Again, sometimes negative power, you're just going to have to add in after. Okay, here we go. Step 2. Complete each step in this order. So power of power first, then power of product, power of addition or subtraction, power of quotient, and negative power. That order is a guideline. It's probably going to help you 99% of the time. There are some that you can kind of switch around, but this is kind of a good basis in order to solve your problems on. Power of 1 and power of 0 should be used as needed, along with solving the numbers in the front. Numbers in front of the base follow order of operations. They should also be simplified if needed. So let's take a look at how that plays into our equation. So I have power of power. That was one of my rules that I have, and that's the one I'm going to use first. So I had 3xy to the second all over 5x squared times y, and that's all to that second power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that second power and I am going to apply it to everything, including the numbers. The numbers still act as they are being solved in this problem. So that is going to get me 3 to the second power x to the second power, because 1 times 2 is 2. And then y to the fourth power, because 2 times 2 is 4. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the bottom. 5 to the second power, x to the second power to the second power. 2 times 2 is 4. So I got x to the fourth power and y to the second power, because 1 times 2 is 2. Great, I did power. Now I'm going to move on to my next one, which is power of quotient. So if I take what I have up here, now power of quotient, I have my same bases, and then I'm going to subtract my powers. So again, the numbers in front, they act completely different if you are just looking at them as numbers. If you're looking at them as bases and powers, know that 3 and 5 are not the same base. So we can't just subtract those. Instead, we're going to focus on our variables instead. So I have x to the second power and y to the fourth power. 2 minus 4 is going to be negative 2. And 4 minus 2 for my y's is going to be a positive 2. For right now, I'm just going to leave the numbers as they are. If you wanted to solve them right away, you can. Some equations have you do that. It just all depends on what the equation is. And we'll see some more examples when I'm done with this one. So my next step is negative power. Right now, I have 3 to the second power, 5 to the second power, and then on top, I have x to the negative second and y to the second. I'm just rewriting the steps just so that you can see kind of where everything's going and like the process of it. If you do not need to rewrite these steps in this particular order, you can just do it all within one, which again, I'll show you in my next few problems. So I only have one negative power. You can never, ever, ever have a negative power. So I'm going to use that negative power rule, which tells me that any negative power, I need to kick down to the bottom of that fraction and make that power a positive. So I have 3 squared y squared all over 5 squared x squared. And then last but not least, make sure that you are not forgetting those numbers. Some equations, as I said, you have to do the numbers earlier, but in this case, we can leave it to the end. We have 3 squared y squared all over 5 squared and x squared. If I'm simplifying my numbers, I will do 3 to the second power, which is 9. Leave my y squared where it is. 5 to the second power is 25. And leave my x squared where it is. And I have my final answer. So that was one problem, but we really stretched out that problem by going step by step in order to see how it is going to be done. Remember to complete each step in the order of power of power, power of product, power of addition, subtraction, power of quotient, negative power. Power of 1 and power of 0 should be used as needed. And the numbers in front, they are going to be solved depending on the problem. Sometimes they're solved earlier, sometimes they're solved later. It's pretty much is an as-needed basis. But remember that they follow the operations that they are told. I am going to do some more examples in my next video, so please make sure to watch.